Hi, this is Red Ibis Coach. My name is Heather. I started my business about a year ago because I got a master's in positive psychology and coaching psychology. And my goal in getting that master's was always to start eventually either my own business or to contribute to a wellness program at a company or an organization or a nonprofit, just anywhere. And nobody gives a shit about wellness right now if they are making money as a business. So, in my business, I can consult and show you how to reprioritize wellness, which requires prioritizing even thinking about it in the first place. Or if you're an individual, I can give you and show you a lot of empirically validated tools that can help you take control of your wellness no matter how little time you have, no matter how chaotic your job is, and no matter how uncertain you are about the future. Because even though lots of stuff is fucked up right now, you can still and you must focus on your own well being because you can't really help anyone if you're sick, if you've worked yourself into a disability, if you can't get out of bed, if you are constantly going to the doctor, if you never feel good. This is not a sustainable way to live. Um, so if you're in recovery from some of that, that's great. I can help with that. Or if you don't know where to start, that's also where I can come in. I can help you figure out where is a good place to start. I can help you start exploring these tools. None of them are like a prescription where I just say, like, here's your dose, keep taking it and call me later. It's a gradual progression of like, does this help you right now? No? Okay, let's try something else. And then how do you implement it? How do you track your progress and see how you feel about it? And then, because I also have, 9 years of experience in corporate work, experience in contracts, experience in a Fortune 500 company, experience in different industries, media, fintech, and ed tech, and finance. I can help you navigate your career in a way that feels like you have some level of control. Can I make sure that the ATS can read your resume and that the company is going to be fair to you? No, I cannot help you with that. That is beyond my control and it's beyond yours, frankly. But we can focus on what we can control. And that's, is it perfect? No. But it's better than whatever you're doing now most of the time. Unless you already are pretty aware of a lot of wellness supports, a lot of ways to take care of yourself during hard times of work, you probably don't know. And if you are American and you grew up in America and were socialized in America, unless you were raised by hippies, you probably were raised to believe that work equals value, as in, if you're working, then you're more valuable and people can like you. And if you're not working, you have no identity and no purpose. And that is a false narrative, friends. Um, so don't fucking believe it. Start dismantling that in your head right now. Start right now if you haven't already. But today I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I will do this imperfectly, but there is like a standardized way for some things in Japanese that makes it easy to share without feeling like I'm stealing somebody else's work. Um, So I use an app to help me with my Japanese called Satori Rida, Satori Reader. And there is this one guided breathing exercise on there that has pretty standardized language. So what I mean by that is like in Japanese, there are some like customer service things that people say, or like just very standardized ways of saying things that is not very creative. It's, you're not going off book here. Um, there are a lot of creative, like fictional stories on Satori Rira, but this particular guided breathing exercise is like, take a deep breath in, release the breath, that kind of thing. That's very standardized for meditation and guided breathing exercises anyway. So I'm just, kind of like um, preempting all of this to make sure you understand that I'm not just like reading you a story that someone else wrote. It's kind of like we thought it would be cool to have you practice Japanese in terms of reading this type of language. And I hadn't really been exposed to it until I saw this this little short breathing exercise. But I thought it might be cool to read it to you. One, to selfishly practice my Japanese, but two, also to show you that even if you don't speak a language, you can use a lot of context cues and body language reading to get a good understanding of what's going on. So as I read this, you can see what context cues you pick up on and what I may or may not be telling you to do. And maybe as I read this, it could be helpful to translate it at the end. I won't do it in between because it messes with the flow. And the flow will be messy anyway because I am not fluent. And so, even in this standard language and with this complicated at times for me and my level kanji, um, it'll be a little bit of a journey. But if you're interested in hearing, have you ever heard a Black person speak Japanese? Have you ever heard any non-native speaker speak Japanese? Maybe you'll just, get some popcorn out and laugh at me. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. So anyway, here we go. では、まずはじめに座りやすい場所に座ってください。椅子に座ってもいいし、床に正座をしてもあぐらをかいてもいいですよ。自分が心地いいと思う姿勢で座ってください。座ったら背中をまっすぐ伸ばしましょう。次に肩の力をゆっくりと抜いてください。リラックスしましょう。そして目を閉じてください。それでは深呼吸をゆっくりとしましょう。大きく息を吸ってみましょう。今度はゆっくりと息を吐いてみましょう。体の中に溜まっているものを外に吐き出しましょう。吐き出しましょう。吐き出しましょう。もう一度。体の中に 溜まっているものを外に吐き出しましょう。何かの考えが頭に浮かんだら、呼吸に集中してみてください。はい。もう一度大きく息を吸って、そしてゆっくり息を吐きましょう。他のことを考えていませんか？でも大丈夫ですよ。もう一度自分の呼吸に集集中してみましょう。集中してみましょう。もう一度。もう一度自分の呼吸に集中してみましょう。はい。息を吸って、空気が体に入っていく感覚に集中しましょう。どんな感覚ですか？息を吐いて、吸って、吐いて、体から空気が出ていく感覚に集中しましょう。どんな感覚ですか？集中できていますか？集中できていますか？他のことを考えてしまったら、また、呼吸に集中を戻しましょう。他のことを考えてしまったら、また、呼吸に集中を戻しましょう。これを繰り返しましょう。はい。もう一度、大きくゆっくり息を吸いみましょう。そして、ゆっくり息を吐きましょう。お疲れ様です。今日の瞑想はいかがでしたか？瞑想は毎日の繰り返しが簡単です。もう大切です。繰り返すごとに、繰り返すごとに、心の落ち着きが増していくと思います。本当？繰り返すごとに、心の落ち着きが増していくと思います。Okay。今日が皆さんにとって良い一日となり 良い一日となりますように。So I was just looking at this again. Because it does kind of go off road a little bit because it says like if you do this every day, then you'll start to feel more relaxed, which based on the research, um, it's true that like deep breathing exercises can make you feel more relaxed. That is true. But it's kind of like a loaded promise because there's no way to know for sure. Obviously, this is more of a practice than like you should, take everything in this and believe it. But of course, like, I'm using my critical thinking skills as I'm reading this. But basically, what they do is they have you, sit in a comfortable place. They said you can do seiza, which is like sitting on your knees with your legs tucked under you, which is not comfortable for Westerners. So it is like there are like some things that are very typical for Japanese culture that you might not feel as comfortable with if you can sit on your legs for a long period of time. More power to you. I cannot do that. And so, like, once that happens, then they say to like straighten your back, relax your shoulders, release the tension from your shoulders, close your eyes, and try to relax. So that's what they walk you through at first. And then they have you go through and start doing the deep, slow breathing in and out. So they kind of have you repeat that and tell you that if you do have thoughts that come through, you can just focus more on your breathing. So the thoughts are there, but focus more on your breathing and how you're feeling as you're deep breathing. And that is a typical, what no matter what the language is, from my experience, it's a typical deep breathing, deep guided meditation. Although often guided meditations will have you visualizing something, but if you're not a visual thinker, you don't have that capability, it's frustrating more than it is beneficial. So just focusing on your breath is a lot easier and more accessible to just about everyone. There are books all about breath, all about breathing. One of them is Full Catastrophe Living by John Kabat-Zinn. That's a good place to start if you're interested in just having the idea of deep breathing like drilled into your head because like that's basically almost the entire book. Full Catastrophe Living. And then if you're interested in visualized meditations, you're going to have to pick the type of person whose voice that you can stand. I think that is a big part of it. I think for people who have like any sensory issues, you're not going to want to listen to a guided meditation with music that's too loud, with a person's voice that you don't find soothing, or sometimes will even take you out of it if the person is talking about something that you don't care about. So pick your flavor, basically. But if you want to do the very basic thing of just deep breathing and focusing on your breath, you don't really need someone to guide you through that, but it can be helpful at first if you're not used to it. So, again, if I were to translate this meditation, it would be find somewhere comfortable, sit in a comfortable position, straighten your back, relax your shoulders, relax your body. Some people like to think about their body melting into the floor. So you can start at the top of your head all the way down to your toes. really focusing on the sensations in your body as you focus your um, awareness all the way down your body to your toes. You can even like think in your head, like my head, my eyebrows, whatever, as you're letting the tension go out of all areas of your body. And then you focus on taking a deep breath in, releasing it. You can do box breathing, which is, I don't find the standard box breathing. I think it's like 4 in, hold for, it's like 4 counts in, hold for 8, release for 4, pause. I find it more beneficial, like personally, to take as deep of a breath in as possible until there's no more space that I can feel anywhere. So that could be many counts. That could be 20 counts sometimes because I'm thinking, like, okay, fill my belly with air. But then if I'm filling my belly with air, I also feel that there's like more space that I could fill in like my back and in my chest with air. So like, can you fill every possible amount of space in your body with air before you hold the breath? Because I think that is really when you're going to get the better release of tension when you exhale. That's me personally. I don't know if that's because it stimulates the vagus nerve more to do that. And we won't get into vagus nerve because that's a whole other thing right now. But like, I don't know why that works for me better. So I'll take like a long ass breath of like many, many seconds, counting for like 20 or whatever. And then I like to hold it for longer too. And that's me personally. If you want to start with box breathing, look up box breathing. You can, there are like gifts even, like breathe in for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 5, whatever works for you. It might not be the same for everyone. But if you focus on that for 10 minutes a day, it will probably change your physio, like how you feel physically, at least a little bit, particularly, of course, if you don't do any of this already. If you already do this, it might not be as beneficial to you. But there are plenty of people who still have been resistant to deep breathing, to meditation of any kind, to mindfulness of any kind. Here's one very accessible thing to try. So, thank you for this sticking through this edition of Bad Japanese Reading, uh, getting a meditation in a language you don't understand. If you're interested in learning Japanese, I would say that Satori Reader is a little bit too hard for a beginner. Um, So try a different app until you have some kanji. So you would want to have memorized all of the katakana and all of the hiragana and a good handful of kanji before you would want to try Satori Reader. It would be really hard without the hiragana capability to read Satori Reader. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.